Unti-unti na ngang nalilinawan ang lahat patungkol sa anomalyang nangyari noon sa EJK ni former President Rodrigo Duterte. Ito nga ay matapos maglabasan ang ilang testigo na lalong nagdiin sa dating presidente. Sinang-ayunan din ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos ang mga mabibigat na paratang laban kay Digong at tinawag ang dating Pangulo na walang malasakit sa bayan. Narito panoorin ang video kung paano nabisto ang makatindig balahibong anomalya sa EJK at kilalanin ang ilang kongresistang kasabwat ni Rodrigo Duterte.
Po ako sa Davao noong 2000, wala pa ho ako dyan during that time. So, yun lang po yung mga sitwasyon na nasabi ko sa kanya about dun sa supplemental affidavit. Actually, Mr. Chairman, sa una pa lang nararamdaman ko na hindi niya po i-confirm yung mga sinabi ni Colonel Garma. Actually, hindi ko na pinursue. Basically po, yung usapan, parang naging light na lang po yung moment ng usapan. At magmamanifest po yun, yung light moment na usapan namin. Because nung lumabas po siya, masaya siya. And we can even show yung CCTV na hawak po natin ngayon, na makikita natin that wala po sa facial expression niya na he was harassed.
Comsec, yung sinasabi ni Honorable Fernandez na video clip,
Comsec floor. Do you have a
Comsec.
video?
O yan.
Colonel Grijaldo enters the holding room. At 7:17:59 p.m., Attorney Emericio Kilang enters. At 7:18:11 p.m., Attorney Rotsiv Comigat enters. At 7:19 p.m., Congressman Dan Fernandez enters. At 7:20:35 p.m., Congressman Benny Abante enters. At 7:35:35 p.m., Congressman Dan Fernandez and Benny Abante leave the holding room. At 7:36:14 p.m., Colonel Grijaldo exits with Attorney Kilang and Attorney Comigat. At 7:36:25 p.m., Colonel Grijaldo, all smiles, is seen conversing with Jimmy Fortaleza.
Yun pong kay Honorable Abante naman, paragraph 14 of the affidavit. Kong Abante asked me how many years do I still have with the PNP. I answered I still have 4 years before retirement. Then he made the remark, pwede ka pang maging general. I humbly responded to him, masaya na ako sa ranggo ko, sir. Pagkatapos nito, uuwi na lang ako at magtatanim na lang ako ng kamote sa amin.
Mr. Chair, I cannot recall, no? Pero kung yan man, nasabi ko, ako ba'y, meron ba akong karapatan na i-promote siya? Sapagkat sinabi niya ron, gusto ko siyang ipapromote. Anong karapatan ko para i-promote siya? Para lang siya magsabi ng gusto kong sabihin niya. Masyado namang akusasyon yan na kahit kailan, hindi ko ginawa kahit kanino.
Thank you, Honorable Abante. Paragraph 15. The cordial conversation between us continued. So, walang animosity. Would you agree with that, Your Honors? Na cordial yung conversation niyo?
Well, actually, Mr. Chairman, di mo pa binabanggit yan. Kanina sinabi ko nga, after na tinanong na namin yung mga ilang provision dun sa paragraph niya, na alam ko na hindi naman tayo makakakuha ng magandang resulta dun sa confirmation ng betting, sabi ko nga, naging light na lang yung usapan. Hindi ko na alam kung ano mga napag-usapan. At, but after that, umalis na ako. Tapos sumunod na si Congressman Benny.
Pero dinagdag niya sa kanya.
Mr. Chair, tama. Tama ho. Tama yung sinabi ni Chairman Dan na very cordial. Very light ang usapan namin. Parang nabibiroan pa kami dun eh. Nabanggit niya na siya magtatanim ng kamote. Hindi ba biro yun? Yung ba totoo ba yun na magtatanim talaga siya ng kamote pagkatapos na mag-retire?
Saka, in all due respect, Mr. Chair, if I may, Mr. Chair, may I be allowed to speak? Kasi, alam niyo po, napakasama naman po ng magiging action namin if we have done something like that without the prior approval of the members of the the chairman of the Quadcom, never na ginawa po ng bawat isa sa atin yan na meron po tayong gagawing betting ay hindi nalalaman po ng ating pong mga kasamahan. And yung pong, most especially, kung yung pong coercion at harassment na kung gagawin po namin ay mapuput into jeopardy, lahat ng ginawa po ng Quadcom. And hindi naman po kami ganun kabobo para gawin yung bagay na yon na alam namin na magkakaroon ng bad repercussion kung sakali na hindi mag-a-agree po si Colonel Grijaldo. And well, ako kasi medyo, basically, nasaktan po ako doon kasi nga, I was expecting that Colonel Garma, through sa mga lawyers niya, na binanggit na hindi, si Colonel Grijaldo was my parang kasakasamahan na niya before. And they were very close. And yung expectation mo na sasabihin niya doon, na kino-confirm niya, then suddenly, nawala. Kaya po ako medyo na-disappoint during that time. But of course, kasama yun, marami na tayong ganyang kausap na talagang afterwards, hindi naman talaga na-confirm. But yun na nga, nagpapasalamat po ako sa committee na to na nabigyan po tayo ng pagkakataon para liwanagin tong issue na talagang nahirapan po tayo dahil sa hindi po pag-attend ni Colonel Grijaldo.
Mr. Chair, sa totoo lang, kung siya nasaktan, si Congressman Dan Fernandez, ako naman na-offend sapagkat sa katotohanan na lang, nasa mukha ba namin na magko-coerce? Nasa mukha niya. Sa mukha. Nasa mukha ba ni Congressman Fernandez na mag-coerce? Ako, nasa mukha ko ba mag-coerce? Tignan niyo nga po yung mukha niya. O, compare po sa mukha namin.
And the next statement is that I felt that they wanted to convince me to do what they wanted me to do. So it was the feeling of Colonel Grijaldo na kinukumbinsi niyo siya na gawin yung gusto niyong ipagawa. That was his feeling. The intention may not be that. Hindi po ba tama, Colonel Grijaldo? I-invoke mo na naman yung right mo. Tama ba yung state mo? I felt that they wanted to convince me to do what they wanted me to do.
I stand by my statement, Your Honor.
Sagutin mo yung tanong ko.
I would like to invoke my right
Mr. Chair.
Your Honor.
May I move that we cite Colonel Grijaldo in contempt for violation of Section 11, Paragraph C, refusal to answer relevant questions? So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
There is a motion to cite in contempt Colonel Grijaldo for violating Section 11, Paragraph C of our Rules of Procedure Governing Inquiries in Aid of Legislation, and it was duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. You are again cited in contempt.
Mr. Chairman,
Is Congressman Akop done with this interpellation?
Mr. Chair, my motion needs another motion from any member of this committee because we have to determine where or what is the duration of his penalty and where he would be incarcerated. Mr. Chair.
Is there any motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Congressman Paduano.
while the rules of the House now with regards to Section 11, citing a resource person in contempt, the detention, no? The place of detention lies with the, of course, the chairman of this honorable committee. May I respectfully move, Mr. Chairman, that we will transfer, in this contempt order, I move that we will detain Colonel Grijaldo at para malapit-lapit lang sa batasan at Station 6, Mr. Chairman. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Are you referring to Station 6 of the Quezon
Quezon City, Mr. Chairman, dito lang yan sa batasan.
Okay,
So move, Mr. Chairman.
there is a motion to detain, transfer the detention of Colonel Grijaldo to Station 6 of the Quezon City Police Station. Are there any second? Duly seconded. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Comsec, please coordinate with our Sergeant at Arms and inform the said office that Colonel Grijaldo will be transferred to Station 6 of Quezon City and serve his detention in that facility.
Mr. Chair,
Congressman Akop,
since I cannot get intelligent answers from our resource person, may I just make a manifestation? The reason why I asked Attorney Conti about the canons of legal ethics, that we have in our possession a joint statement from the law office of Attorney Emerito B. Kilang, from the Kumigad law offices. And in this joint statement of the two lawyers, they debunk all the claims of Colonel Grijaldo. And lawyers are supposed to observe the canons of legal ethics, as I have stated in my interpellation of Attorney Conti. And that is the reason why I asked Attorney Conti about the canons of legal ethics. So, it is the word of Colonel Grijaldo alone versus the words of two honorable congressmen and attested to by two lawyers, the lawyers of one of our resource persons, Attorney Garma. The other manifestation I want to make, Mr. Chair, is that in 4 instances where we invited Colonel Grijaldo, he has refused to attend. Ang timing po niya ng pagka-confine niya, every time na meron tayong hearing, if you look at the calendar of events. Kaya sinasadya niya na magpa-confine para hindi siya maka-attend ng hearing. Marami pong salamat, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair,
thank you, Congressman Akop.
may
Yes,
I may I also make just a short manifestation as to avoid the public that because I get this impression, Mr. Chair, that our resource person, Colonel Grijaldo, wants to, at least impress upon the public that we are cornering him, that we are gagging up on him. Just want to make a manifestation, Mr. Chair, that earlier, Chairman Akop asked him, or the chairman himself asked him if he needs a lawyer so we can provide one. Because he's been invoking his right against self-incrimination, and we understand that. That's a constitutionally guaranteed right. And we do not want to push or to even force anybody, especially if it's our guests and our resource persons, to say something that would incriminate him, that would be used against him at the court of law. He was asked what's the basis of him invoking that right, when in fact the question of Deputy Speaker J.J. Suarez was merely on an affirmation that the affidavit he gave during the Senate investigation was really true, because he was reading on the affidavit and he was quoting word by word the exact affidavit, an exact portion of the affidavit given by Colonel Grijaldo to the Senate hearing. And that was merely a confirmation from him. In fact, when he answered and replied to DS.J.J. Suarez earlier, his response is very much in conflict with the answer in itself. No? Sabi niya, I would stand by my affirmation, I confirm my affidavit, which DS.J.J. was reading, and yet he says he invoked his right against self-incrimination. So he confirmed it, and yet he do not want to confirm it at the same time. So it's a conflict, no? Mismo sa sagot niya. That's the reason why Chairman Akop asked him, what's the legal basis? What's his legal basis for invoking this right against self-incrimination? And being a non-lawyer himself, the chairman was lenient to even ask him, would you want a lawyer? We can provide you. Ang sabi po niya, hindi na niya kailangan. I just want to make this manifestation so that this cannot be twisted online. Because I'm sure there are ready trolls, paid trolls, who will twist this scenario here. Ang gagamitin naman nila sa atin ay ginagangap natin ang ating mga resource person. We have given him all the legal course in order to protect him and ask him kung kailangan niya ng legal advice. And he admittedly responded na hindi. Having said that, Mr. Chair, I have one quick question that I'd like to ask Attorney Conti. Mr. Chair, if I may be allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, thank
Go
you. Attorney Conti, have you been in courts, no? I'm seeing may litigation, no? And you also present evidences. Minsan yung mga testimonies, ng mga affidavits, minsan in a manner of text message or mga video clips, no? Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor. Video clips, text messages
Yes.
will be considered as electronic evidence.
Yes, okay. Earlier, you watched the video clip kanina when Congressman, the Chairman Dan Fernandez and Chairman Benny Abante entered the room where Colonel Grijaldo was already inside, no? Nakita niyo naman po, no? Yung video kanina. Yes. And after a few minutes, they exited the same room. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor, I saw that.
As a lawyer, based on your experiences in trial courts, no? Assuming that this is an evidence, and I presume this is an evidence, Mr. Chair, to prove that the two gentlemen here were telling us the truth and nothing but the truth, as opposed to the affidavit of Colonel Grijaldo. In your professional experience, having having seen all the evidences in the context nung halimbawa itong pinakita as opposed to the affidavit ni Colonel Grijaldo, would you say that it's a normal reaction of someone who was forced to lie to come out with all smiles, magandang disposition, at nakipaghawakan pa sa former colleague niya? Is it normal for a behavior of a person, individual, who are let's assume, na tama yung sinasabi niya, totoo, assuming without conceding that he was forced by two influential, because kung titingnan niyo, the two gentlemen outranked him in position. Court, kumbaga, kung sa basketball, ito, advantage na, court advantage nilang dalawa, nasa kwarto, sasabihin na itong gawin mo, magsinungaling ka, etc. based on his affidavit. Would that be a normal reaction of a person who was forced to say something, to lie before his teeth na magsabi na dapat ito ang gusto naming sabihin mo at alam niyang mali at hindi tama at kasinungalingan? Doon sa nakita mo, from your professional experience, would that be a normal reaction of someone who was forced to lie?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, first, I cannot or I should not appreciate that as a lawyer. I should appreciate it as a normal human being. Your Honor, that kind of appreciation of, is this consistent with human experience? It would not be consistent with human experience to see someone coerced leave a room without any restraints at sasabihin na hindi siya na pinilit siya sa loob ng kwarto. So it would be inconsistent with what we have seen. And Your Honor, this kind of evidence will only prove that, however, on the other hand, that these gentlemen went into the room, left the room at these times, and the last person to leave the room was Colonel Grijaldo without anyone keeping him in detention. So yung, kumbaga, ang maiisip po kasi ng karamihan, yung parang restraint is parang inaresto ka. His freedom to leave the room without any pressure or even without the presence of the two others. I think the two lawyers were still inside the room. We did not see that in the video. It would say that Colonel Grijaldo was not under arrest. To an extent, as a human being, I would say he was not under duress.
Thank you for that response, Attorney Conti. In fact, Mr. Chair, the responses and the explanation of the two gentlemen, the two chairmen, was actually believable because based on sa mga responses niya, wala naman, it was plainly evident, paglabas nila, it reinforces yung mga sinasabing, yung atmosphere doon sa kwarto ay hindi naman ganun intense, no? Kasi nung lumabas sila, hindi naman for few minutes, so parang ordinary day lang. As opposed to Colonel Grijaldo, who was, I suspect, parang masyado siyang, sabi niya, may reflection pa nga eh, nag-quote pa nga siya ng Biblia. And he even went to the Senate to testify before the whole country watching that he was forced to say something and to lie. Ganon yung impact nung sinasabi niyang coercion na ginawa ng gentleman. And yet, when we look at the video, watch the video, it seems as an average-minded person, wala pong hindi po normal na behavior ang isang tao na he was forced to lie, he was coerced, under duress, tas lalabang with all smiles at nakangiti. Sir Chair. Yun lang. I'd like just to make that manifestation because again, I don't want to impress upon the public because there's an attempt really by this research person na i-twist itong nangyayari sa atin tapos may mga paid trolls na naman na ready to debunk all the truthfulness of whatever we have gathered here in this committee hearing. Tapos ito-twist nila that we are ganging up on him, Mr. Chair.
Well, if I may just comment on that manifestation. Yes, correct. We expect that there will be trolls again prying on this particular hearing. This resource person has this penchant for playing victim. No? Yan ang ano niya, yung laging biktima siya eh. But ang katotohanan, ang video ay hindi po nagsisinungaling. No? Kung ikaw ay talagang may paninindigan at gusto mong tayuan ang sinabi mong katotohanan, eh hindi ganyan ang iyong demeanor. So that is my observation, Your Honors. In fact, darating ang panahon na mag-iisip ka rin eh. Iisipin mo rin na hindi mo na makakayang itago yung iyong konsensya doon sa iyong pagsisinungaling. Now, just to add a little spice in this issue, please allow me to show in this video, just a short video lang, Your Honors, on the video of Colonel Grijaldo appearing before the Senate hearing and try to observe his demeanor. And tingnan natin no, kung ano yung ano, para lang po meron tayong point of comparison. So, Comsec, can we play the video? And Colonel Grijaldo, can you watch the video and see for yourself kung ano yung ano mo dyan, yung demeanor dyan?
Mr. Chairman, while waiting for the video,
yes.
can I just to amend the my motion previously, Mr. Chairman, that I move once again that Colonel Gardo will be detained at Quezon City Station 6 until the committee report will be, in this investigation, will be adopted in the plenary, Mr. Chairman. So move.
Okay, there is a motion amending the previous approved ruling of the chair. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion amending the previous ruling of the chair is approved. So, just please play the video.
Third level officer, presently assigned a personal holding administrative unit, Camp Crame, Quezon City. After duly sworn to, under oath and in accordance with law, do hereby depose and states that I, together with other invited PNP personnel, attended the joint hearing in the House of Representatives. After I answered questions related to extrajudicial killings, Kong Dan Fernandez entered the room and he asked me to sit beside him, and then Kong Abante entered the room. One of the lawyers of Police Karma stood near at my back. Kong Dan Fernandez put the paper he was holding on the table and told me, ito ang sasabihin mong statement na ito. While pointing on the paragraph on the paper, ito ang supplemental affidavit ni Colonel Garma. Sabihin mo, alam mo ang reward system. I-confirm mo lang. Kong Dan told me to read the said affidavit. However, I asked the copy of affidavit he was showing to me to read it. He did not give it to me. Then Kong Abante asked me where I serve as a chief of police, to which I answered, Mandaluyong City Police Station. Kong Abante then persuaded me by saying, ikaw naman, Colonel, ganito na lang, alangan namang walang insidente o pangyayari sa panahon na yon. I answered, and I served as a COP in Mandaluyong during the COVID-19 pandemic, and there were less crime committed, and we did not receive any reward from anyone.
Okay, salamat. So, in my observation of the video that we just showed, shows that a police officer looking like a debonair in his uniform with his rank, lying to his teeth. Yun ang aking observation dun eh. And he delivered the statement with full of bragadasyo, so to speak. So, parang ngayon, parang nawala yung asim nung pagbibigay mo ng statement dun sa Senado, Colonel. Then, you keep on invoking your right against self-incrimination, which is a manifestation of hiding from the truth. Yun lang ang aking gustong idagdag dun sa manifestation. So, we now recognize Congressman...
Very short, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Congressman Paduano, and then Congresswoman Luistro, and then Congressman Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for procedural, I just like once again to inform Colonel Grijaldo that you have all the right now to file a motion for reconsideration the day after this hearing. But I do not believe that you will file because in the first contempt order from this committee to you, you file a certiorari in the Supreme Court. Tama po? But still, baka sabihin mo, question of due process, hindi ka namin binibigyan ng due process dito. That's why I reminded you about your right to file a motion for reconsideration tomorrow in this committee. Now, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to put on record and to point out the statement, the manifestation from Chairman Acop a while ago with regards to the joint statement of the two lawyers that was present during the incident in which Chairman Abante and Chairman Dan Fernandez was present during that meeting with Colonel Grijaldo. Malinaw po dito, Mr. Chairman, na sinasabi nila na hindi totoo yung pinagsasabi ni Colonel Grijaldo doon sa Senado. And let me quote, Mr. Chairman, just the two paragraphs, no? Kasi 5 paragraphs, no? Just the 2 paragraphs, no? To quote, Mr. Chairman, we would like to shed light on the nature of the interactions we observed. The discussions were focused on ensuring clarity and understanding of Colonel Garma's affidavit, particularly regarding any knowledge of Colonel Grijaldo might have about the reward system mentioned in it. At no point did any of the congressman attempt to pressure Mr. Grijaldo into conforming to a predetermined narrative. Throughout the meeting, we can affirm that we did not witness any form of coercion. Again, to repeat, throughout the meeting, we can affirm that we did not witness any form of coercion or undue influence directed toward Mr. Grijaldo. The discussions taking place were cordial and respectful. Congressman Dan Fernandez and Congressman Abante engaged in a dialogue that was both professional and focused on the matter at hand. At no point did we see or hear any actions or statements that could be interpreted as pressuring Mr. Grijaldo to conform to a specific narrative. Yun po on record, Mr. Chairman, the joint statement that was signed by the Council of former Colonel Rowena Garma, Attorney Emerito Kilang, and Attorney Rotsib Kumikad, Mr. Chairman. So ito po, napapatoo na nagsinungaling si Colonel Grijaldo doon sa Senado. Now, second, Mr. Chairman, I would like to point out, makita po sa CCTV kanina, na paglabas, nakangiti pa. Well, in fact, alam niyo ba, ang kinamayan niya, outside of that room, was his classmate. Mista niya po. And supposedly, kung inipit siya, pressure siya, ang the first person that he approached outside of that room, kaklase niya, yung mista niya. Class 97, in the person of Jimmy Fortaleza. Kitang-kita niyo po, nakakamay pa. Nakasmile pa. Nag-uusap pa sila ni Jimmy Fortaleza, former Major Jimmy Fortaleza. Now, again, Mr. Chairman, naawa lang ako dito kay Colonel Grijaldo because he keep on imposing or invoking his right to self-incrimination. You're a graduate of PNP Class 97. Hindi mo palang napagandaan kung alin doon ang pwede mong invoke at hindi invoke nung tinanong ka Chairman Akop, hindi mo masagot. Any specific basis or laws or articles or section. And now, I would like to remind and educate you, Colonel Grijaldo, under Article 3, Section 17 on our 1987 Constitution. Tama po, no person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. That's self-incrimination. But I will cite jurisprudence that you cannot use it in your case. Mr. Grijaldo, Supreme Court ruling with regard to Arnold versus Nazareno. Allow me to read, Mr. Chairman, portion of that. The fact that the testimony of a witness may tend to show that he has violated the law is not sufficient. Is not sufficient to entitle him to claim the protection of the constitutional provision against self-incrimination, unless he is at the same time liable to prosecution and punishment for such violation. No case has been filed against you, Colonel Grijaldo. That's why in that Arnold versus Nazareno, you cannot invoke such provision of the Constitution, Mr. Grijaldo. Our second, jurisprudence. Rosette versus Lim. The privilege against self-incrimination can be claimed. You can claim it only when specific question, incriminatory in character, is actually addressed to the witness. It cannot be claimed at any other time. You cannot claim it unless, sabi nga doon sa Arnold at Nazareno, unless may pending case po or punishment for such violation. Eh, tinanong ka pa kanina, if you want to have a lawyer, ayaw mo, o di. And I hope, Colonel Grijaldo, after this hearing, you ask your counsel, and I do believe that you will file again a certiorari in the Supreme Court, and that's your right. And let us see what will be the position of the Supreme Court with regards to your pleading. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Paduano. Congresswoman Luistro, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, my manifestation were covered already by Chairman Carap, so I yield to the Honorable Kit Flores.
Thank you, Congresswoman Luistro. Congressman Flores, you now have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would like to address some of my questions to our colleagues who are now resource persons. No? I wish I could have addressed it to Colonel Grijaldo. No? I always wish that he would be answering the questions as emphatically as he was making that statement in the Senate, but now he's invoking his right against self-incrimination. Now, Congressman Abante, if your intention was to coerce Colonel Grijaldo, would you have had that meeting with Colonel Grijaldo with other persons present?
If my intention was to
Yes,
coerce,
if your intention was to coerce.
I don't think that we can pursue the meeting because the meeting is supposed to ask him if he would corroborate the statement of Colonel Garma, as Colonel Garma said.
Yeah, but the question asks for a yes or no, sir. Would you have held that meeting with the lawyers of Attorney Colonel Garma present in the same room if your intention was to coerce Colonel Grijaldo?
With the lawyers
Yes.
there? I don't think so.
Yes. Now, if your intention was also to offer him a promotion, would you have held that meeting also with other people present, like the lawyers of Colonel Garma?
Oh,
So that was not the intention of the meeting, right? Correct?
no, it's not.
How about you, Congressman Dan?
Siyempre naman, kung plano natin na hindi natin makuha yung sagot and we wanted to coerce and harass and i-force yung ating issues sa kanya, of course, ang gagawin ko, di kami na lang tatlo. Di ba? Wala nang lawyers. Siya na lang, ako, saka si Abante. Kumukuha ka pa ng witness para sa gagawin mong kasalanan.
A lawyer who does not represent the House,
Yeah.
does not represent the committee,
Yes,
does not
of course.
represent any of the parties present, correct?
Exactly. At the same time, kung mga haras ako, hindi dito. Dadalhin ko siya sa opisina ko. Baka sakali, doon ko pwede ko siyang i-haras. And one more thing, yung sinasabi niya na promotion, ako hindi ko nadinig yun, na in-offer ni Congressman Abante. If ever na in-offer yon, hindi naman siya tanga. Para malaman niya na ang congressman, hindi naman tayo nakakapag-promote. Di ba? Presidente lamang or chief of PNP. Like for example, siya, colonel siya, under yan ang chief PNP. At kung general yan, doon siya dadaan sa CA. Hindi naman siya dadaan sa Congress di ba? So, basically, medyo may mali sa mga ginawa talaga niya.
Yeah, I ask those questions, Kong, because, I also take offense to the fact na parang the entire committee was parang put in bad light by the statements of Colonel Grijaldo. And I was hoping that he would be at least man enough to answer the questions now.
And we wanted to apologize also sa committee because of what we did, and we wanted to ferret out the truth and to have that the betting process to be conducted. Nadamay po yung buong committee. During that time that we were accused by Colonel Grijaldo, I was hurt not because of myself alone. Dahil nga nadama yung ibang chairman at nadamay ang buong committee.
Actually, that was going to be my next question. My next question would be, do you think that it was inappropriate for you to approach Colonel Grijaldo without other persons present representing Colonel Grijaldo?
Colonel Grijaldo?
Yes.
Well, to tell you honestly, Mr. Chairman, as what I've said a while ago, na-meet na namin si Colonel Grijaldo together with Colonel Garma. And we were like together for almost how many hours din na nag-uusap-usap. And kumbaga, kampante ka na rin sa kanya. And that's the reason why nung sinabi ni Attorney Victor na si Colonel Grijaldo ang makakapagpatunay ng lahat ng sinabi niya sa affidavit, confident kami. Ako, confident ako. Kasi si Benny, hindi pa siya confident kasi hindi pa na meet si Colonel Garma saka si Colonel Grijaldo. But ako, na-meet ko na. Saka si Chairman Ace. And that's the reason why nung sinabi niyang ganon, I was a little bit disappointed kasi all along, akala ko talagang magkaibigan sila ni Colonel Garma.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, ako medyo naging confident na lang ako when I saw the lawyers of Colonel Garma. Hindi naman namin abogado yun Naging confident na ako sapagkat inaakala ko that the lawyers of Colonel Garma would also become his lawyers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now, can I ask some questions to Director General Villanueva? Sir, my questions, I know we've been through this before, itong sa Dumoy raid, but I just have some clarificatory questions lang po para matapos na po itong issue on with regards to you po. Now, Director General, yung operations niyo sa Dumoy, I know it was 20 years ago, sir, no? Diba? But if you can recall, was it a joint operation with the PNP or just PIDEA alone?
It was a joint operation between PIDEA 11, HSOT, PACER, the PNP, and Intelligence Division of Police Regional Office 11.
So,
malaki
several
talaga to,
agencies
sir.
pa?
Malaki to.
Now, in operations with other agencies po, is there a requirement that you are all required to submit a report?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
In this particular case, in the Dumoy raid in 2004 ba? 2004 or 2005?
2004, December 31,
31.
2004.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Was there a report made on this raid, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Do you have a copy of that report po?
Unfortunately, Mr. Chair, because that was the start of transition between PNP and PIDEA. So talagang I submitted to the national headquarters all reports,
Okay.
spot report, progress report, and then other spot reports on the operation against other warehouses, including the case folder of all all people that where we filed the case in court, Mr. Chair. Kompleto po yun, Mr. Chair.
Particular itong Dumoy.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now, Director General Lasso is not here, but the representatives of PIDEA are present. Sir, do you have a copy of that report?
We have only the spot report, Mr. Chair.
Only the spot report?
Yes, sir.
Has that been submitted to the committee, sir? Wala pa?
I think not yet, sir. But we are willing to submit this, sir.
Can you please submit one to the committee secretary, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now, Director General Villanueva, you testified earlier that before the raid, parang you had like 3 months na surveillance sa kay Alan C., correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Alan C. and yung isa pang place
Alex Kim and other personalities like Jed Pilapil and John Pilapil, Mr. Chair.
Jed Pilapil C. is the wife, correct?
Yes, Mr.
So
Chair.
you included her in the surveillance because she was the wife of Alan C.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You also had surveillance conducted dun sa other place na sinurrender din, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Anong tawag dun sa place na yun?
In Agdao, where thousands of CPEX, controlled precursors and essential chemicals, were found, and also at Bunawan, where
Bunawan.
the foam factory owned by Alan C., where Jong Pilapil and Alex Kim is working in the Bunawan Polytex, the foam factory.
Yeah.
Yes,
I remember
Mr.
that,
Chair.
sir. Kasi we were, I think, part of when we met, we turning over that facility pa.
Yes, Mr.
Now,
Chair.
you conducted surveillance on the foam factory because it was one of the businesses of Alan C.
We conducted surveillance because we were already tailing Alex Kim. And Alex Kim was frequenting on that Polytex foam factory, Mr. Chair.
So, sinusundan niyo lang?
Talaga sinusundan. Meron na talagang team na naka-assign kila Alex Kim, Jed Pilapil, Jong Pilapil, and Alan C., Mr. Chair.
And if I remember it correctly, parang sa wall na to, sa foam factory na to, may parang tree house dun eh. Parang doon ata naka-station yung mga ahente nyo ata or something.
Yes, Mr. Chair, may kwento po doon. October 31, and then November 1 kinabukasan. Yung kinakandakan namin na survey ng casing, sementeryo yon, Mr. Chair. So talagang doon talaga nakatambay yung mga tao. There were times na pinaglilinis pa sila, sir, ng pansyon ng ibang tao dahil they thought na trabahante yung mga tao. So it was during that time that we were able to get footages, videotape of Alex Kim and Jong Pilapil in the foam factory.
Jong Pilapil is the brother
of
Jed C.
Jed Pilapil,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
And they were included in the surveillance technically because they were part of the circle of Alan C., correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So meaning Alan C. was related to Jed Pilapil. Jed Pilapil was frequenting the same business of Alan C. And who's the other guy? Kim?
Alex Kim.
What is his role in this?
Alex Kim is the operator. Actually, siya talaga yung main chemist doon sa laboratory, Mr. Chair.
Okay, being the chemist, what was he doing in the foam factory, if you know?
Consider, Mr. Chair, kasi hindi, during that time, umabot lang doon sa foam factory, but we still don't have any pieces of evidence na merong anomalya doon sa foam factory. Until when we raided through a search warrant doon sa Bunawan foam factory, that we were able to find a
Air scrubber.
air scrubber.
I remember.
And that air scrubber is for industrial use of manufacture of for the clandestine laboratory operation, manufacture of methamphetamine, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Now, in the raid sa Dumoy mismo, di ba there were 6 Chinese that were killed?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Because from your statement din in the previous hearings, you said na they fought back, no?
Yes,
Some were
Mr.
armed, some were not armed, but in a drug state daw, sabi mo, he was fighting with one of
Yes,
your
Mr.
agents,
Chair.
correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Now, were there only 6 persons there in that Dumoy factory?
Maraming tao doon na naglalabas-pasok, but during the time na nagkanda kami ng raid, anim lang yung taong naandun, Mr. Chair. And all of them were doon sa laboratory mismo,
In
doing
several
their own thing in the
different areas, di ba? Of the
yes,
factory.
in the laboratory itself.
I'm asking this, DG, because of the affidavit of, I think, Las Cañas ba yun? That there were 11 other persons who were arrested in that Dumoy factory. What is your comment to that po?
Yun nga, Mr. Chair, hindi ko nga alam paano pumasok sa kwento to si Las Cañas eh.
Ah.
Kasi, Mr. Chair, hindi ko nakita yung mukha niya eh. Ever since.
But wasn't his unit part of the...
No, Mr. Chair.
Hindi naman.
Hindi ko nakita ang pagmumukha niya si Las Cañas and I don't know him. Hindi ko nga alam kung paano siya pumasok sa kwento.
Now,
Yun, Mr. Chair.
okay, now, in his affidavit kasi, he mentioned na there were 11 other people that were turned over to him ata or something for parang liquidation or something like that. No, and you said that there were no other persons there.
No idea, Mr. Chair.
There were only 6 that were killed.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And there were no other persons arrested or
None in the laboratory, Mr.
none
Chair.
in the laboratory.
Yes.
Now, another question is this. What happened to Alan C?
He was not there.
He was not there.
During the time of the raid, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
he was not there.
Was he also in Bunawan?
We don't know.
You don't know.
Because our focus is in the laboratory. That's why immediately after after all the inventories conducted, we proceeded immediately dun sa Arlene apartment. That is
Where
why
he was residing.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yun nga yung statement ni Jed Pilapil na hinahanap namin doon si Alan C.
Okay. Now, so, raid kayo ng Dumoy, 6 patay. Raid kayo doon sa Bunawan, you found the air scrubbers and arrested other people. After that, do you know what happened to Alan C?
We conducted manhunt on him, Mr. Chair, including Johnson Chua. Kasi we believe that Johnson Chua is the one really in charge of yung financing and logistics of that laboratory.
Okay.
Hindi namin, we believe na nakalabas na sa Pilipinas, Mr. Chair.
Sa memory mo, sir, how long did you look for Alan C?
Habang naandun ako sa, because I was assigned in Davao City from 1995 until 2007, Mr. Chair. Until I left Davao City, we were looking for Johnson Chua and Alan C.
Yeah, pero where did this search for Alan C lead you? Wala.
Yun nga, sir. We conducted manhunt on him, pero negative, futile, Mr. Chair.
So, the reports, the insinuations that Alan C was also killed summarily, walang katotohanan
I don't
yan.
have idea, Mr. Chair.
You don't have an idea because you were still looking for him officially.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Because officially, you have not arrested or caught him, or he is not one of the 6 that were eliminated in the Dumoy factory.
Yes,
correct?
Mr. Chair.
So technically, the investigation as far as Alan C. was concerned was continuing.
Yes,
Para
Mr.
sa'yo.
Chair. He was even included in the case that we filed in court. He and Johnson Chua, Mr. Chair.
Sir, in the 3 months that you conducted this surveillance on Alan C. and several other key personalities of this Dumoy raid, no? Would you say that it was extensive ang pag-surveil ninyo?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Would you say that it was covered all bases po para sigurado kayong okay yung investigation ninyo?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Although konti lang talaga ang personnel ng PIDEA Regional Office 11, nagpatulong talaga kami sa police, particularly sa PACER, at kasama naman namin, sir, yung isang team ng EDSOT under Colonel Asierto. So talagang nag-divide kami ng personalities, Mr. Chair, para tutukan talaga. Mr. Chair, just to emphasize, meron pa nga one of the, kasi every 6 o'clock in the morning ang palitan namin ng surveillance team on each and every persons of interest. There was a time na 5:30 galing sa Dumoy, 5:30 ng umaga, umalis, sir, yung isang incheck. So sinundan ng mga tao natin, dumiretso, sir, sa Cagayan de Oro. So wala na magawa yung tao natin, but dumiretso rin sa Cagayan de Oro.
To tail him.
Yeah, to tail him kasi baka mawala eh.
So ganun ka-extensive yung
Yes,
investigation
Mr. Chair.
ninyo. Now, question. If ganun ka-extensive yung investigation ninyo, bakit hindi nyo in-include sa investigation ninyo si Michael Yang? When you already knew at that time that Alan C. had a business with Michael Yang.
Mr. Chair, kasi nga, walang Michael Yang na lumalabas dun sa initial investigation, sa initial intelligence namin, Mr. Chair.
I get that, sir. You already testified to that before. Ang question ko lang kasi, sinundan niyo siya sa Bunawan kasi may foam factory siya doon. Bakit hindi niyo siya sinundan sa DCLA? May business din siya doon eh. And Jed C. testified that Alan C. had several meetings with Michael Yang.
Mr. Chair, hindi naman lahat ng tao, although maraming tao talaga kaming kinonsider, hindi naman lahat ng tao, tututukan natin. Ang dealing with Michael Yang during that time, as stated by Jed Pilapil, is that magkatabi sila ng si Michael Yang ang may-ari ng commercial building, kung saan doon nagbebenta ng foam, ng foam, sila Jed Pilapil. Yes, Mr. Chair. So, hindi naman lahat dapat nating puntahan. Since Michael Yang is not included in the investigation, so sayang yung tao namin na idadala kay Michael Yang kesa sa ipa-follow up namin yung ibang personalities.
I'm asking that, sir. Kaya nga, tinanong kita kanina kung how extensive was the surveillance. Sabi niyo extensive. In fact, sinundan niyo pa to Cagayan de Oro. I mean, the fact that you send someone to Cagayan de Oro to tail a person and not question someone within the city, parang doon ako patungo, sir. I hope you understand,
Yes,
no?
yes, Mr.
So why not? Why wasn't there an investigation on Michael
Hindi
Yang?
kasi kilala si Michael Yang during that time, Mr. Chair. Hindi kilala talaga si Michael Yang.
Hindi
during
kilala
that
in the
time.
sense na connected to drugs or something like that.
Anything.
Or connected to illegal activities.
Anything,
nothing like
Mr.
that.
Chair. Wala talaga. Hindi talaga kilala. Kasi kung kilala siya, Mr. Chair, talagang
Sisilipin niyo rin.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Okay. How about yung Bunawan? Was it connected to any illegal activities? The foam factory?
Michael Yang, Mr. Chair.
No, Alan C.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
But you only found out about the scrubbers after you raided it, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
But prior to that, was
Alam
there
namin na foam factory niya yon, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. Kasi nga, nagbebenta siya ng...
Kaya, if you will let me finish ba, prior to the raid, was there any illegal activity going on in the foam factory?
Nag-prioritize kami, Mr. Chair, kasi during the time...
yes or no, sir?
Yes, kasi yung gusto ko lang makita ng committee, yung point of thinking ko during that time.
Sige.
Marami na kaming areas of interest. Pero, nakunan kasi namin ng actual video, Mr. Chair, yung Dumoy Laboratory na talaga nagmamanufacture doon.
Right.
So, stop muna kami sa iba, doon kami nag-prioritize, Mr. Chair, sa Dumoy Laboratory.
Dumoy. Yeah, ang tanong ko po is bakit nyo in-include ang foam factory kung sa tingin nyo wala naman kayong illegal activities na nakita prior to the raid?
Naandun, sir, namin nakita si Alex Kim.
Si Alex Kim.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yun yung chief chemist nung laboratory.
Okay, so you're saying that what triggered your interest in the Bunawan Foam Factory was the presence of Alex Kim.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So without the presence of Alex Kim, you would not have dug
Pinabayaan
deeper
namin
into
yun,
the
sir.
Bunawan Foam Factory.
Yes,
Tama
Mr.
po ba?
Chair. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Now, last na lang, no? Ito lang, ang question ko lang is, itong kay Alan C., no? if he was the key figure in this Dumoy raid, but parang it stopped after the Dumoy raid? Parang you don't hear of Alan C. after that eh. You know, even if you said that there was a manhunt that was conducted, parang nawala eh. No? I mean, tama po ba?
Yes. We filed a case against them, Johnson Chua and Alan C. Pero wala nga dun sa area eh. So we believe na, sandali, nakatakas na to. But still, ginagamit pa rin namin yung intelligence community to look for him, Mr. Chair.
My point kasi, sir, is in a form of manifestation. Is like, if Alan C. was a key figure in this Dumoy raid, and that Dumoy raid was very significant because it's the first in Davao eh, na ganun kalaki na Shabu Factory, di ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Ako, sa tingin ko, there should have been more noise in looking for this guy eh. Kasi central figure siya eh sa nangyari sa Dumoy eh. So, the fact na parang biglang nawala din yung interest on Alan C. O after it, parang it raises some questions, no? Na is there truth to the insinuation or the allegations of some other people that Alan C. and et al. Were actually killed after the operations in Dumoy? Kaya parang wala nang naririnig about them after the Dumoy raid.
I have no idea about that, Mr. Chair.
So any comment on that manifestation?
We exerted effort, Mr. Chair, to look for them. Kaya lang yun nga, regional director lang ako ng Region 11 eh. And most probably, whole Philippines na yung gagalawan niya eh. So really,
to get away from you.
Yes, kasama nga namin si Colonel Acherto, Mr. Chair eh. And the EDSOT is the key team for the Philippine National Police. Kaya nga sabi namin na kung may maitutulong, di sa PNP na natin. Kasi limited talagang ang tao namin sa PIDEA, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, DG Villanueva. To the current PIDEA, sir, do you have any idea what happened to Alan C. after the Dumoy raid?
We do not have information regarding Alan C. Sir.
So do you have information on what PIDEA Region 11 did to look for Alan C. after the Dumoy raid? Walang mga reports ba na...
As we have said, sir, we have only the spot report and we have the, again, sir, correct, I'm standing corrected. We have the Blatter report on January
Yun lang.
of 2004 and 2005.
So that's the only file that you have as far as the Dumoy raid is concerned?
That is what we have only, sir.
Okay, how about the other agencies that were involved in that raid? Did they furnish PIDEA with a copy of their own respective reports?
Only the PNP, sir, has reported to us. Only the Region 11 PDEA reported to the National Headquarters, sir.
Wala nang other agencies like yung mga sinabi ni DG Villanueva kanina na kasama nila?
No report for PDEA, sir.
No report whatsoever.
The story of Miss Marisa Hamoy. So, before that, we'd like to acknowledge Mr. Sarmenta. Mr. Sarmenta, do you have an opening statement?
In a minute.
By the way, before that, since you're going to deliver a statement and appear before this committee, may we ask you to take your oath, including Miss Marisa Hamoy? Pwede po ba tayong sumumpa? Comsec, please administer the oath of our new witnesses.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this congressional inquiry, so God will help you? Thank you. The oath has been administered, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Sarmenta, can you please proceed?
Having had the golden opportunity to serve the late Chito Gascon as his consultant for communications starting in early 2016, I coordinated when the war on drugs started with at least 40 international news teams or international reporters doing stories on the EJ case of war on drugs. Not once did any one of them get back to me after doing their coverage saying, it's not as bad as it seems, or with I understand why this has to be done. All of them were always more appalled, more outraged compared to the day they arrived at our airport named after someone assassinated on its tarmac. A female reporter from Europe who often goes to war zones once asked me why is it that in this country the police can return to the same neighborhood the next day after killing a civilian in that neighborhood, compared to other nations where she has reported from, where it takes weeks before a police can patrol the same place where a civilian was killed. Kasi nga po, babatuhin sila or whatever. During war on drugs, I met many individuals with courage and fortitude. Sadly, one of the first I met, Hara Kazu of the Pasay PNP Bertes father-son slay, inside the Pasay PNP SDEU on July 7, 2016, badly wants to come today, but her poor health prevents her from coming. Sadly, Hara now has breast cancer. Hara was the first. She would like to request of the committee if she can give a video testimony. Hara was one of the, so ito pong mga needs, basically what I present, some of the things I'm presenting now is merely just based on my paper, no, which is about another kind of nanlaban. What happens to the victims after nanlaban sila legally and actually lalamunin ka ng sistema. Nothing will happen to your effort to find justice. So that's another angle, no, that I think we should take a look at the lawfare, the law that is happening against the victims. Wala silang nahahanap na talagang ano. Now, Hara was the first EJK widow to speak in the 2016 Senate Justice Committee investigations. During those hearings, then PNP Chief Bato de la Rosa presented the two shooter cops to the Senate, nandun mismo sa Senate, and promised a quick resolution. Pasay RTC released, so hindi naman po nahuli yung judicial ano, Pasay RTC released a warrant of arrest by first quarter of 2017. But then nothing, totally nothing. Even after Hara herself bumped into one of the cops on the street, and I went quickly to the NCRPO chief then, General Guillermo Elazar, to report. So, wala pa rin. Pero si biktima nakikita. But PNP claims, hindi makita, ang gagaling nila magtago. So, soon after that meeting on the street, a year or so after, the RTC archived the warrants. Nothing happened until, take note, November 2024, when Hara herself told me she had some scuttlebutt that one of the cops, PO2 Alipio Balo, might be incarcerated. My own networks confirmed he was indeed in the Pasay City Jail for shooting someone else. So isa pa po yun na hindi, kung ginawa lang sana yung paghahanap or ginawa talaga yung pag-aresto, hindi na sana may iba pang nabaril. Hindi yata po EJK yung itong second biktima. The CHR has confirmed that he is indeed incarcerated there. So why did it take so many years of shooting and then the shooting of another victim for Alipio Balo to be behind bars? So I think I would like to ask the body to demand Pasay PNP and NCRPO investigate this and provide proof that Balo was not receiving his PNP pay after second quarter of 2017. Kasi I have a suspicion he still was. It saddens me that this war gave free rein to so many elements and hardly any guardrails established, even if cases like the Bertes double slay had been clear warning signals early on. Very early, July 7 pa po ito. I was at the Senate on October 28, 2024 for the Blue Ribbon hearing, and because I brought the invited EJK widow Cristina Gonzalez of Antipolo. Sadly, a few of the senators began berating her for not filing, and Gonzalez got intimidated and did not correct them and let the truth out. Her very own case for a protection order already has decisions from the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court deciding on August 22, 2022. All decisions by the High Court were in favor of Cristina Gonzalez, and all noted that the death of Joselito Gonzalez is an EJK and must be investigated. To this very day, no investigation has been initiated by any of the bodies who could do investigations. So may High Court decision ka na, yung pwede naman mag-imbestiga, hindi naman kumikilos. Why? No? Bakit ganun? There's even a duplicity in this, no? Because Once the Supreme Court announced that, actually, the state submitted that to the ICC, claiming that this is a sign that the victims can get, and the ICC rebuffed this effort by saying, no, that's not even a criminal investigation. And the whole, how dubious this whole thing is that soon after, they filed again another motion for reconsideration. Pinagmalaki sa ICC na ito daw yung ano, tapos mamaya-maya, hindi nakuha yung gusto, may motion for reconsideration na naman, na ifa-file about the protection order. Gaano ba dangerous itong si Cristina Gonzales na talagang aanuhin na huwag magkaroon ng protection order. The lawyers, unfortunately she's not here today, but the lawyers, Dargon Law Office, who represent her as well as Marisa are here. No? So, monitoring these cases and regularly meeting at the affected families is an advocacy I do. No? And I stopped being with, so I'm not exactly a professional person doing this, and I stopped being with CHR when I went to Myanmar in 2018 and taught there for a year. No? So in August of 2024, I presented the paper which I had submitted on the 7th International Conference of Human Rights in Malang City, East Java, Indonesia. No? And that's where I put all this. My main reason for writing the paper is also to show that, kasi ang laging sinasabi, hindi naman nagpa-file yung victims. Hindi raw nagpa-file. And then as if the system is working, and they're always just talking about the Kian de los Santos case and the Arnaiz case. Dalawa lang naman yung babanggit nilang natatapos. So, ano ba talaga? No? And then lastly, I'd just like to say, I think we should also look at the point of, and I think Marisa's case is a clear example that, yes, meron nga mga violations of the right to life, meron din napakalaki rin yung violations of the equality before the law. Nababaril ang mga tao, walang warrant, walang kung ano-ano, walang ano-ano, and yet, the people who should be investigated for doing those things, ang daming kiniklaim na kailangan nila ng ganitong protection from the law, etc. etc. It's twisted.
So, if I may ask, Joel, no, Mr. Sarmenta, ang suspect doon sa pagpatay doon sa anak ni Marisa ay member ng Philippine National Police?
Yes, sir. These are I think she can discuss it, and the lawyers also more. These are unfortunately right here, because Marisa is from Payatas, and this is in short QCPD Station 6.
So, pwede ba nating marinig ang
Yes,
kwento ni Marisa?
I often bring that up po na how can there be a police station which kills 100 people in a year's time, and there's no investigation why that.
So, how many people were killed in Payatas alone?
Station 6 po, their whole area of responsibility, 100. Umabot po ng 100.
So, ang area is only Station 6?
Yes.
Yung Station 6, yan yung Payatas?
Yes, and in the first year of the Duterte administration, lumampas po ng, I think it's 102 or 100.
102 ang namatay.
Killed by the PNP of Station 6.
Okay, at ito ay related sa drugs.
Yes, and
Ang mga suspect ay, ang mga biktima ay, mga drug dependents, pushers.
Yes, and in Marisa's case po, there was only one who was really wanted and as listed in the pre-operations report, but 5 were killed. So,
okay, so, pwede ba natin marinig ang kwento ni Marisa? Marisa, ang iyong anak ang biktima dito, no?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Pwede bang malaman kung ilang taon ang iyong anak?
17 years old po.
So, 17 years old siya. Siya ba ay kasama sa drugs watch list ng Quezon City Police?
Hindi po.
How about sa PIDEA? Nandun din ba siya? Wala siya. So, wala siyang history na siya ay gumagamit o siya ay na-involved sa pagbibenta?
Wala po. No record po siya sa barangay ng Payatas.
So, walang record?
Wala po.
So, pwede bang malaman paano nangyari yung insidente? Kung okay lang sa'yo, Kung okay lang sa'yo.
Yung time na po yung nangyari po, bali, Head po ako-
Pakilapit mo lang yung mic sa ano, ha?
Head po ako ng street sweeper po ng Payatas. May tao po akong namatay yung asawa, nagbigil po kami. Bari Sampaguita Extension po, bundok kasi yun. Nagpaalam siya sa akin, bababa doon sa baba kasi may birthday case. Ang nangyari doon, tinawag siya doon sa kang Sherwin Pulo na nakalista sa watchlist sa Barangay Payatas. Inutusan siya na pinabili ng sigarilyo. Pagdating doon, pagkatapos niyang biling sigarilyo, bumalik doon sa bahay. Si kang Sherwin, yun nangyari ng putukan na doon po siya namatay po sa loob ng bahay. Mayroon pong survivor na si Harold Alvaro, 8 years na hanggang ngayon hindi na-imbestiga po siya. Siya po ang buhay. Ang kasong nang nalagay sa kanya, direct assault.
Kinasuhan, siya ang kinasuhan.
Opo, yung survivor po na isa.
Okay,
Balilima
so-
sila, 4 ang patay.
General Salvador, I don't know kung pwede nating itanong dun sa station, ano yan? Station 6?
Station 6 po.
O na until now, 8 years ago, the incident happened and until now, wala pang investigation na ginagawa.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, we will look into this. We will check the record, Your Honor.
Okay, salamat. Thank you. So, sige, Mr. Sarmiento.
Regarding Harold Arevalo po, actually he was acquitted on November 17, 2017 for the direct assault charge, which therefore belies the claim na naglaban. So, and further decisions po by Ombudsman, and also, by the way, this case involves a decision from the Office of the President, which was released on May 25, 2022, before Mr. Duterte stepped down.
Okay.
So, about this case. And they all ignore this decision
Sige.
by the MTC of QC as
Okay.
if it doesn't exist, na si Harold Arevalo po ay naging acquitted. Kaya I think we would like to ask the body if he could be subpoenaed to appear, because anyway, no one has ever talked to him.
Okay, siguro what we can do, kasi first time pa lang namin narinig yung kwentong yan, no? And tama-tama, andito ang ating Philippine National Police na pwede nating hingian ng assistance tungkol dyan kung bakit hanggang ngayon, 8 years after the incident, ay wala pa rin investigation na ginagawa. So siguro, in the next hearing, aasahan namin na nandito pa rin ikaw, Miss Marisa, no?
Yes po, Your
At mas malaking maitutulong sa aming komite kapag ikaw ay magbibigay sa amin ng iyong sinumpaang salaysay. At base doon, kami po'y maaaring makatulong sa inyo. So, I'd like to ask Mr. Sarmenta to, if possible, you, assist si Miss Marisa sa mga kailangan ng komite.
Yes, Your Honor, along with the Dargon Law Office po.
Okay, so we heard this story. Alam na po natin ang ano natin. Is this Attorney Conti? Is this part of is the story of Miss Marisa one of the cases that you handled?
No, Your Honor. As they mentioned, they have their own lawyers from Dargon Law Firm. But I would affirm the fact of filing of charges against the victims po. Marami din po kaming kaso na ganyan na kung sa kanila po yung survivor, kinasuhan ng frustrated murder, sa amin yung iba patay na, kinakasuhan pa po. Kasi parang ang gustong sabihin ng pulis, totoo na na nanlaban, totoo na drug addict to o kung ano man. Kaya kakasuhan nila ng illegal possession. And that is pointless kasi po hindi pwedeng kasuhan ng patay. Kaya po perhaps as a suggestion, Mr. Chair, perhaps the PNP could identify how many cases they have filed against deceased persons or even those that are drug-related para makita kung may silbi ba to sa atin at kung gumagastos ng ba tayo ng pera sa wala doon sa kanilang naratibo na mali naman pala.
Okay. So, General
Mr. Chair.
Salvador, I hope we took note of the statement made by Attorney Conti, and that data would also be helpful sa committee in the writing of our committee report. Can you submit to us the data that Attorney Conti has just mentioned.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
Mr. Chair.
Congressman Abante.
A while ago, Congressman Romy Acop asked a question to the PDP National Police on the issue of how many thousands of those na nanlaban, ano. In fact, in our last Quadcom hearing, Mr. Chair, binanggit ko pa nga na if there are more than 7,000 na mga biktimang nanlaban, there should be more than 7,000 also evidences of that in the crime lab of the Philippine National Police. So I do not know if they have actually a data on that, no? Because I have even mentioned here at our last hearing that we ought to make an ocular inspection to the crime lab of the Philippine National Police to find out if there are indeed more than 7,000 evidences, whether it be firearms or mga patalim yan, no? So that we'll be able to know kung talagang itong mga taon to nanlaban to. Now, if the Philippine National Police would assume that there are more than 7,000 nanlaban, therefore, there must be more than 7,000 evidences that the Philippine National Police has. If not, then yung mga kulang ang mga ebidensya, hindi nanlaban yung mga yan. Sapagkat alam ko naman na yung mga evidence na yan, I'd like to ask the Philippine National Police, di ba? Pag kayo nag-lock up ng mga, for example, like ito, ang ginamit nito ay paltik, ang ginamit nito ay 45 o 38. Meron niyang nakalagay kung anong taon yan at kung sinong pangalan nung napatay na yan. Di ba? Am I right, Major General?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. It's all in the disposition of the forensic group, Your Honor.
Of the crime lab. Who is the head of the crime lab right now?
Right now, Your Honor, is Police Brigadier General Sembrano, Your Honor.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we invite the head of the crime lab to appear in the next committee Quadcom hearing so that he will be able to give us the data or explain to us the evidences that has been in the crime lab, Mr. Chair. So I move.
There is a motion as stated by Congressman Abante, duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chair, addition lang po.
Yes,
Doon
Congresswoman
sa-
Castro.
So, hindi lang po, Mr. Chair, yung mga paltik o yung mga baril na ginamit nung nanlaban. No? Kung ilan yan, 7,000 po yan, Mr. Chair. Dahil may namatay, dapat po ay alam din po natin yung ginamit sa pagpatay. I mean, yung police. Na halimbawa may operation yan, nanlaban, may paltik yung nanlaban, pero yung mga police po, yung kanilang ginamit na baril, dapat po ay naka-record din. O meron din tayong report. Hindi po ba? So para makita rin natin.
Confiscated, di ba?
Yes, confiscated. Dahil, di ba sinasabi ng batas na kapag merong namatay, dapat talagang naiimbestigahan. Hindi lang po yung baril ng nalaban. At yung mga evidences nung bumaril, no, kailangan nandiyan din po. So, tanong ko po sa PNP, na-preserve din po ba yung mga ganong mga evidences? Para makita natin, Mr. Chair, kung ano yung tumama anong bullets, magkaroon ng matching, Mr. Chick.
Yes, General Salvador, please reply.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Your Honor, normally all encounters, armed confrontation, are placed in scene of crime operations procedures. So it has all the SOCO report, and therefore all evidences are in custody of the SOCO, and normally it is being prepared and being readied for if required by the court. So we all the presumptions that these are covered by reports, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, follow up.
Yes.
Ang tanong ko po, na-preserve din ba yung mga baril na ginamit ng police doon sa scene of the crime? Yun po yung tanong ko doon. Or ginamit lang yan and then ginamit pa rin siyang service firearms. So yun po yung tanong natin doon sa police.
Your Honor, that can be answered once the Director of Forensic Group will be present because as I have mentioned, these are all covered by SOCO reports, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, ano ba yung procedure?
Yeah, pwede bang malaman na General kung ano ang procedure? Halimbawa, nagkaroon ng engkwentro at napatay ang kalaban ng mga Philippine National Police, kawani ng Philippine National Police. Hindi ba kinukuhaan ng ballistic record yung baril ng police at saka yung baril ng nanlaban?
Normally, Your Honor, tulad ng nabanggit natin sa operational procedure kasi natin, it is being subjected to scene of crime operations, procedures, and tulad yung may mga namamatay, tama po kayo, aside doon sa firearms, all pieces of evidence collected in the crime scene are preserved and it is being placed under the disposition and custody of the crime lab.
So including the firearm of the PNP member?
Normally, Your Honor, if there is findings of irregularity, doon na lang nagkakaroon ng requirement to submit the firearms of those involved in the operations. So long as the findings is within the regular performance of the duty of the police officers, most likely hindi na po nire-require yung gano'n.
Okay. So yan
If
yung,
there's only a findings of irregularity, Your Honor.
so yan yung SOP, no? Yan yung kapag may findings of irregularity, then you confiscate the firearms. Pag wala, hindi kino-confiscate.
Hindi po, Your Honor. Kung ano lang yung na-collect sa crime scene, yun lang ang pinipreserve natin.
Does that satisfy Congresswoman
Mr.
Castro?
Chair, Mr.
No,
Chair.
Mr. Ch-
Congresswoman Castro first. Sige,
Mr.
make
Chair,
your-
parang may mali doon. 'Di ba? Kasi may namatay ng laban. So ginamit yung baril ng pulis para ma-apprehend o mamatay yung kalaban ng pulis.
Your
So,
Honor, but
ang
the-
problema, Mr. Chair, para makagawa tayo in aid of legislation, no? Parang tingin ko may mali doon. Kasi hindi po naiimbestigahan eh. So kailangan maimbestigahan. So kahit man lang ito yung tinatawag nating presumption of regularity. No, dapat ma-define yan talaga kung paano, no? So hindi pwedeng may namatay na lang, tanggapin na lang yan kasi nanlaban yan at
Siguro,
adik yan, whatever.
yeah.
So
Well,
yun po,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Chair.
related doon sa
Yeah,
sinabi
okay,
ni Congresswoman Franz Castro, no? Ano ba yung procedure nyo? For example, like, we know for a fact that not all of the victims' relatives would file a case against the police, correct? So, kung hindi sila mag-file ng case, Major General, anong ginagawa ng ating kapulisan kung meron pong napatay na nanlaban na hindi nakapag-file ng anumang complaint?
Tulad po na nabanggit namin, aside sa SOCO, meron po tayong motu proprio investigation na kinoconduct ng Internal Affairs Service. So, lahat po ng ganung nanlaban cases, encounters, there is an independent investigation being initiated by the IAS. At,
Okay, independent po yan, no?
Yes po.
Ngayon, ito. Nabanggit nyo kanina that you only confiscate the firearms when there is irregularity. Alright.
Tama po yan.
Now, anong ginagawa ninyo sa ating kapulisan when there is irregularity?
Well, due process is initiated by way of requiring these people to submit themselves for investigation, tulad na po na yung firearms. And normally, they are being held under restriction so that they can answer for all the investigations being initiated by the unit. So yun po yung proseso para po magiging impartial yung investigation, hindi maka-impluensya yung involved, normally they are being held under restriction or being relieved from the positions they previously hold.
Do you have a list of that, Mr. Chair? Do you have a data, a list of those that have, those policemen that have killed in response to the action of the victims? Do you have a list of irregularity na mga pulis natin or wala?
The better office that can respond to that, Your Honor, is the Internal Affairs Service.
All right, Mr. Chair. So I again would like to make a motion that we invite the head of the IAS to come in our next hearing to shed light on the issue of the mga nanlaban na mga biktima po sa ating mga kapulisan. So I move.
Comsec, please take note of the request of Congressman Abante.
Mr. Chair, meron lang
Mr.
akong
Chair,
clarification.
may also-
With the indulgence, sige, si Congresswoman
Last na
Castro,
po.
and then si Congressman Dan
Kaugnay na lang
Fernandez.
po doon sa topic. So, Mr. Chair, may I also move that we subpoena po no, yung SOCO, yung report ng SOCO dito sa 7,000 plus o 7,060 ba na ng sinasabing nanlaban. So, pwede po bang, I move, Mr. Chair.
So there's a motion to subpoena the SOCO report on the 7,000 deaths under di ba DUI ang tawag doon, deaths under investigation by the Philippine National Police, and to be submitted to the committee. So did we get a copy? Do we have a report? So none yet. So may we ask the PNP to submit those records to the committee as stated in the motion of Congresswoman Castro to subpoena all these documents. The motion was duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved. So, Congressman Dan Fernandez.
Clarify, General Salvador. Kasi para nadinig ko kanina kapag merong irregularity, saka lang kino-confiscate yung mga na evidences na galing sa crime scene?
Both, Your Honor, regularity or someone who will initiate a complaint. Ibig sabihin kung may magpapile from the victim.
So, ibig sabihin, yung mga ebidensya na nandun sa crime, like, for example, yung mga ginamit sa panlaban. O so, pag may irregularity lang, with final decision, saka mo lang siya dadalhin sa crime lab?
Magkakaroon po ng investigation based doon sa findings nga po na SOCO.
Okay. So kung nagkaroon ng investigation, tapos sa investigation, ang nagko-conduct nun, sino? Ang IAS?
Ang IAS,
so pag nagkaroon sila ng final decision, what happened to the firearms that was collated doon sa mga different crime scenes?
It is normally becomes the evidence, Your Honor.
No.
But yung
Evidence
disposition...
For example, nagkaroon ng decision ng IAS at sinabi nila walang irregularity. So yung mga firearm na nakuha, hindi na itatago sa crime lab?
Binabalik na po yun sa unit or sa individual concerned, Your Honor.
Hindi. Ang sinasabi...
Normally, Your Honor, these firearms are only requested by the forensic for ballistics.
No. You're talking about the firearm nung police.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm talking
Tama
about
po
the
yun.
firearm or mga weapon na ginamit doon ng mga taong nanlaban. Di ba? Meron di kayong mga nakuwang mga weapon di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Doon sa crime scene. So, nung nakuha niyo yung weapon at the personality na involved were subjected to an investigation, and it was decided by the IAS na walang irregularity, what happened doon sa mga weapons nung mga nanlaban na biktima?
Yun na nga po, Your Honor, na nasa disposition ito ng crime lab ng forensic group. And in fact, I heard there was already a motion.
Yes, I know. So, hindi mo alam na kasi parang kanina pag may walang irregularity yung mga weapon. Parang I heard na hindi na siya inilalagay sa crime lab eh. So, dinidispose na ba siya or
Hindi po. It remains
In the
an
crime lab.
evidence sa crime lab.
so, anong element of time na nandun siya?
Anyway, Your Honor, as I believe the
Best
director
person
of
to
the
answer
forensic
that is,
group has already
okay.
been sa...
Thank you, General Salvador.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the victim's relative, si ano po ang pangalan niya? Miss Sarmenta.
Marisa
Hindi po, si
Mr. Joel Sarmenta.
Joel Sarmenta po.
Hindi po, itong
Marisa Hamoy
Miss
po.
Marisa Hamoy.
Marisa Hamoy.
Miss Amoy. Kayo po ba ay nag-file ng complaint?
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes, sir. She filed I was with them when they filed the
She filed the complaint.
November 7, 2017.
When she filed the complaint, Mr. Chair, what charges did she file? Was it murder or homicide?
Hindi po that parang connected sa when the AS elevated it, parang nasa ano na po eh, grave neglect of duty, mga ganon, hindi murder po.
I think, see,
Within
when
the ES.
Miss Hamoy would file, syempre, she would file that her 17-year-old son was killed and was murdered, correct? Pupunta yan sa IAS, correct?
Yes, sir.
Pagdating sa IAS, babaguhin nila, gagawin nilang homicide, am I right? Tama ho ba ako, Miss Hamoy?
Medyo, hindi kami ano sir, but I recently reread the later IAS report. It's connected to...
Mr. Sarmenta, can you look into that? Because this is very vital eh. You know, the fact that naniniwala po si Miss Hamoy na pinatay ang anak niya na hindi naman po ito drug pusher o hindi drug addict, hindi drug pusher ito, alright, pero pinatay yung anak niya, naniniwala po ba kayo na yung pumatay sa anak niyo, pulis?
Walang question about whether it was
Okay,
really
walang
them,
question
sir.
dyan. Pangalawa, ito, naniniwala ba kayo na pinatay po ng walang hawak na patalim o baril ang anak ninyo?
Yes po, naniwala.
Therefore, hindi po nanlaban. Correct po.
Yes, sir. And as proven by the acquittal po of Harold Arevalo, the survivor, in the case filed by QCPD for direct assault.
Hindi po, yung charge na kanyang dinimanda dahil lang sa biktima. Oo, dun sa pulis na dinimanda niya. Ibig sabihin, dapat yan, ang demanda ni Miss Hamoy would be murder. Tama ho ba ako?
I can check on the ES right now, sir. Maybe I'll get back to you in a few minutes.
Yes,
I have
because
it on file.
this is quite vital. Very important po ito.
Yes,
Na
sir.
bakit babaguhin ng IAS ang demanda na homicide samantalang murder ang demanda ng kamag-anak ng biktima. Hindi pwedeng baguhin yan. In court, it must be murder ang demanda po dyan. And this is something that we have to look into, Mr. Chair, because this is quite revealing no, sa atin. And I think that our people should realize this, na marami na mga demanda ang complaint ang mga kamag-anak ng biktima na hindi nanlaban ang mga anak na ang dapat demanda ay murder, yet nawala ng bisa yung murder. Naging homicide yan sapagkat ang katuwiran po ng Philippine National Police, nanlaban po lahat yan. Am I right, Mr. Samenta?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, I'd like also to bring up that she did file at the IAS, and there's something that's lately I don't notice that's being brought up in the committee in the past hearings. There are, in terms of the previous questions po about investigation, sanctions, there is that DOJ listing of 52 cases released on October 19, 2021, which DOJ admitted came from IAS, and it doesn't include her case. And this DOJ listing of 52 cases of October 2021 doesn't list any of the crucial or the sensitive cases. Parang na cherry pick po na medyo very slight cases lang po yun nandun sa 52. This is an offshoot of then DOJ Secretary Minardo Guevara telling the UN Human Rights Council in March, I think, or April of 2021, that there were irregularities and the irregularities are about 500.
So he said that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, he said
Sinabi niya yan.
before the UN. And but I think the state sort of lost its motivation because in between that time, the ICC still continued. So by the time lumabas na naging watered down to 52 po, and our other honorable members were asking about sanctions. You will be surprised if you read the list. Some of the sanctions are like 60-day suspension.
Therefore, Mr. Chair, if the Secretary of the Department of Justice made a statement that there are irregularities, what did the Philippine National Police do about that?
Chair, Mr. Chair, this is part of that's why they started compiling that through IAS, and they came up with a list of 52 by October 19 of 2021. But strangely, especially because she filed at IAS, Marisa Hamoy filed at IAS, their case is not there, even if it's a massacre. And along with so many, the cases I mentioned, Gonzales case already decided by Court of Appeals by that time, is not there. Gonzales Antipolo case. Bertes case inside the Pasay City PNP, not there also in the DOJ listing of 52. It's very strange that many of the controversial cases are not there. A year after I was researching on the list, actually, during that time, baka naman nagbago na po, but during that time, I looked at it, there's at least almost 20 of the 52, you will never find them on the internet.
Okay, Major General, who was the Director General during that time, 2021? Because I don't think that you are party of that. Hindi mo alam yun, di ba?
Are you referring to the IG of IAS then, Your Honor?
Sir, we immediately complained to him, General Guillermo Ilazar. It's very significant because actually Marisa Hamoy, when General Guillermo Eleazar was QCPD head, met Eleazar at least 3 times.
All right. Mr. Mayor General, therefore, who should we invite to shed light on this revelation that Mrs. Sarmiento has said? Who do you think should we invite in the Philippine National Police during that time?
Your Honor, allow us first to check into the records because previously we were required to check this, especially the case being mentioned, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion that we invite the DOJ, who during that time was the head, including Mr. Chair, the maybe Director General Eleazar, to shed light on what Mr. Sarmiento has said. So I move, Mr. Chair.
Comsec?
Mr. Chair, if I may add, there was a murder charge. This is the one filed at the
Mr. Chair,
Ombudsman.
point of order.
Yes. What is the point of order, Congressman Acop?
There's a motion filed by the Honorable Abante, and the chair has not yet ruled on the motion of the Honorable
Yes.
Abante.
That is correct. Yes, I'd like to rule on the motion first of Congressman Abante to invite General Eleazar and and DOJ, in the next scheduled committee hearing of the Quad Committee. And Secretary, the former DOJ Secretary, Secretary Solgen Minard Guevara. So, any second? Duly seconded. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, continue. Please continue.
Mr.
Yes,
Chair?
Attorney Conti.
Sorry, Your Honor, but at this point, point of information regarding the 52 cases that were mentioned, Your Honor, this has already been discussed prior. If I recall from the hearing June 5th, 2024, the DOJ presented the list of 52 cases and said that they had already forwarded the cases with recommendation for filing of charges or case building to the NBI. If you would recall po, si Judge Santiago po yung nagsabi na they investigated it, and in the 52 cases, 30 have been closed temporarily for lack of information.
Mr. Chair, forwarded where?
NBI, Your Honor.
NBI.
Yes,
For
Your
the
Honor.
filing of cases.
But, yes, Your Honor, and just an
For the
additional-
filing
For
pa.
filing. So yung 30 po, kumbaga, wala nang na-file. But I agree, the 52 cases are what the DOJ and this government or the previous government said constitutes an investigation. Pumunta sila ng UN, pumunta sila ng ICC, nag-investigate naman kami. 52 cases. None of these cases, or 2 cases were in Caloocan. No cases were mentioned in Bulacan. Kaya hindi po representative yung 52 cases investigated. And just a note, NBI said that they had 400 cases being investigated. So, kumbaga, puro po numbers, pero wala naman po
So you were saying,
pinatutunguhan.
Mr. Chair, you were saying that the NBI was actually remiss in investigating the 52 cases.
Well, yes, Your Honor. Meaning, kumbaga, yung DOJ investigation na ipasa na daw sa NBI for prosecution, yung NBI naman sinasabi, wala na daw na impormasyon. Actually, ang binabato naman, yung biktima daw kasi hindi nagpa-file ng kaso. Ako, wala po akong kaso dun sa 52 na ini-investigate nila eh. Talagang kulang na kulang po yung pinagsimulan ng information.
NBI, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Director Levin, any...
Thank you, Your Honors, Mr. Chair. We, with the indulgence, we take exception to the statement na remiss kami. I have to defend my institution. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Of the 52 cases referred to the NBI, 13 were recommended to be prosecuted. 7 are still under investigation, and 32 of these cases were provisionally closed either for lack of cooperation on the part of the relatives of the victims. Let us remember, Your Honors, Mr. Chair, that we have been denied the opportunity to conduct forensic investigation on the pieces of evidence. Walang crime scene investigation dito. When these were all referred to us, the crime had already happened long time ago. It's very difficult now to reconstruct the scene of the crime. The ideal procedure should have been when a violent incident occurred or happened, dapat nag-conduct kaagad ang SOCO ng crime scene investigation.
Pero, Director,
Yes, sir.
how were you able to file a case dun sa 13 ba yung na-file nyo? So, if there are no SOCO reports or immediate investigation after the crime happened, so how were you able to file those cases?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ito yung may mga witnesses kaming nakuha at ito yung nag-pursue yung relatives ng victims.
So, merong cases where the relatives were pursuing a case and meron naman dun sa out of 52 na hindi na nagko-cooperate, hindi na nagpapakita and does not show any interest to file a case.
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. Now, ideally, kung nagkaroon ng violent incident, dapat nag-conduct kaagad ng SOCO doon sa crime scene ng kanilang investigation. And to further answer yung gaps kanina kung saan napupunta yung mga baril used by law enforcement officers in the various operations involved in violent incidents, this should have been asked to be surrendered when there was a crime scene investigation wherein pieces of evidence were collected or gathered at the scene of the crime. For example, kung nakakuha ng slugs, kung nakakuha ng empty shells during the conduct of the crime scene investigation, dapat tinanong yung
involved na police officers or NBI officers for that matter to surrender your firearms. I remember when we investigated the incident in Commonwealth Avenue involving PDEA and Quezon City Police, I was on top of this investigation. We requested all of those involved to surrender your firearms to the NBI. This is so that the pieces of evidence collected or gathered by the NBI at that time at the scene of the crime, yung slugs, yung empty shells, will have to be cross-matched with the firearms used. At kailangan isurrender nila sa evidence custodian ng NBI to avoid tampering of their firearms when we use this. Only when we shall have terminated or finished the investigation and our forensic experts shall have testified on the results of their investigation, may the pieces of evidence na firearms ng NBI or ng police ay maaring ibalik on with leave of court, of course. Thank you, Your Honor, Mr.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, thank you, Director Levin. Yes, Congressman Abante.
I surmise therefore, Mr. Chair, that masyadong magulo itong nangyayaring ito nung panahon ng former administration. Di para bang ang ating kapulisan ay hindi nag-iimbestiga. So I surmise, Mr. Chair, that the police actually were not properly investigating because of the policy of the administration, because of the policy of the former president. Na kung yan, nanlaban ng kaunti yan, patayin nyo na at I have your back. Ako ang magpoprotekta sa inyo. And I would even think, I do not know, Major General, you could be able to tell me if I'm right or wrong, no? Okay lang sa akin. Pero palagay ko, there really was a big irregularity as far as investigating this is concerned. Oh, just imagine, we have more than 7,000 na napatay, but only 52 are being investigated. And 37 of them, wala na because hindi na umano yung biktima. Now, the thing is this, I don't think that it is the NBI that should be first in the scene. It must be the policeman that should be in the scene of the crime. Am I right, Major General?
You are correct, Your Honor. It's supposed to be the PNP, especially the SOCO, that will process the crime scene, especially in the event of armed confrontation, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, why do you always have to give that to IAS? Why don't the SOCO be the one to investigate on it, motu proprio?
It is within their mandate, Your Honor. The IAS has the motu proprio.
No. It's not the mandate of the IAS is to investigate an administrative case. Of course, kasama yung criminal dun eh. Pero still, the IAS should be independent from the Philippine National Police. Therefore, the Philippine National Police must also conduct their own investigation on the matter. Am I right, Major General?
That's correct, Your Honor. As I have mentioned, it is being part of the SOCO operations. And as I have mentioned, once an irregularity has been found based on the processing, corresponding actions is also being recommended, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, are you done, Congressman Abante? So, Congressman Acop, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. General Salvador, may I know the basis why IAS should be the one to investigate incidents involving police officers where firearms are used?
It's not, as I have mentioned, Your Honor, it's also their mandate independently. But as I mentioned also that...
Could you please state to this body, ano po yung mandate na sinasabi po ninyo?
It's the motu proprio investigation, especially if the case involves the use of firearms. And
is that provided for by any law?
It is within the disciplinary machinery or 6975, Your Honor.
Administrative cases, I will agree with you. Di ba? Kasi,
Opo, nasa batas po, Your Honor.
I do not know. That's why I'm asking, because during our time, the agency that investigates these events or these incidents would be the CIDG. Why? Because when these incidents happen, there are two aspects. Dalawang kaso eh. Administrative at saka criminal. Now, is the IAS equipped to conduct criminal investigation?
It is,
Please answer my question first. Is the IAS equipped, or does it have the capacity to conduct criminal investigation?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Oh.
On the basis of the findings of every...
The IAS is basically an agency which investigates the administrative aspect of this issue. Would you agree with that?
Yes, Your Honor, but
Yes.
as I have mentioned,
Kaya nga
they can always
sinasabi
recommend.
Sinasabi kanina na Mr. Sarmenta na grave neglect of duty na yung one eh. That is administrative offense. Pero ano yung criminal offense na final ninyo?
I have been consistent with my response, Your Honor, because
Hindi ko
this
naman
is-
sinasabi na hindi ka consistent. Ang question ko, yung sagot mo. Kasi, hindi ba't sabi ko, you give me the basis why IAS is supposed to conduct this kind of investigations. When in fact, I know na yung IAS, administrative aspect lang ng kaso, ang trabaho nila. The criminal aspect is with CIDG, which is capacitated to do the criminal investigation. Kasi iba yung administrative investigation at saka criminal investigation. Doon pa lang sa evidence that is required, magkaiba na yung dalawa eh. So, how can you tell me that the IAS is capacitated to conduct criminal investigation?
Well,
You tell me, what is that mandate that you are telling me? So that I will be convinced.
it is, they have the powers to file appropriate criminal cases against PNP members because before the court as evidence warrants and assist in the prosecution of the case. Tulad nung binabanggit namin, Your Honor, wala silang pinagkaiba sa investigator on case na kung may mga ebidensya on the basis of findings of the SOCO,
Doon po doon sa kaso na sinasabi ni Mr. Sarmenta, ano po yung criminal case na na-file?
well, we will have to check on the record, Your Honor, for a while.
Yan nga yung sinasabi ko eh.
I believe that they are telling us as to the specific case, Your Honor.
Meron po bang criminal case, Mr. Sarmenta, na final?
There was a case in the Ombudsman po. The IAS case po is NES NMP PCI 180054, which is basically a series of grave neglect of duty on Colonel Lito Patay, the QCPD
Administrative.
station. And then on the policeman involved, grave neglect of duty, grave misconduct, and conduct unbecoming.
Those are all administrative cases, which is under the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman, both criminal and administrative.
There was a separate filing at the Ombudsman po initiated by the CHR, OMBPC 180092. This is for murder. And it was dismissed by the Ombudsman.
Yan yung criminal aspect. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko eh. Ang nangyayari, General Salvador, administrative aspect lang or administrative cases lang, fina-file ng IAS. Why? Because it's their mandate.
But, Your Honor, they are also not prevented to file the criminal
I would
case.
agree with you.
Yes.
But supposing I will ask you to give to this committee or submit to this committee ano yung mga cases na involved sa extrajudicial killings na na-file ng criminal case by IAS to prove your point.
We will wait for the IAS to respond to that, Your Honor.
Yes. And that is why, Mr. Chair, may I move that we invite the Director of IAS in the next hearing para masettle tong issue nito.
Okay, there's a motion to invite the head of the IAS.
Second.
And duly seconded. Any objection? Hearing none, the said motion is now approved.
Mr. Chair, I also would like to inform the body, especially our, I like Attorney Conti and Mr. Meta, that this morning, the Committee on Appropriations already approved, no? The Committee on Human Rights was the first one who approved that. But today, already approved the CHR charter. Oo. Now, Mr. Chair, I think that there should not only be a review of these cases, there ought to be a reinvestigation of these cases, Mr. Chair. Would that be the kind of mandate the Philippine National Police also has? Because the thing is, yung mga investigation ginawa on the last administration were actually wala eh. Wala nangyari.